Hi, I'm Pastor Jack Davidson from Redeemer Lutheran Church in Lancaster, Ohio, with another story, the heroes of our faith. Today I want to share a story of two women who are heroes of the faith. You probably have never heard of them. Their names, Perpetua and Felicity. Perpetua was a young noblewoman, and she had a slave by the name of Felicity. They lived between 100 and 200 AD. They're both killed. Well, I should say they were really martyred for their faith. The emperor at the time was a man by the name of Severus. Severus was a ruthless man. He was killing those who got in his way of being called the emperor of the empire. Seeing as he forced his way into power by killing those around him, Severus never got along with those who were also in the power positions of the Roman Senate. At the beginning of his reign, the Roman policy toward Christians was one of accommodation, in that they were only to be punished if they refused to worship the emperor and the gods, but they weren't going to be sought out. The policy changed under Severus, so feeling the need to promote harmony, he ruled that Christians should be punished because they refused to worship any other god except Jesus. Well, this caused a problem, as you can imagine, with those in the church, for those who profess Jesus as their only Lord and Savior. They weren't willing to give up their faith. They took their faith seriously. They took the first commandment seriously. It says, "You shall have no other gods besides me. You should fear, love, and trust in God above all things." These Christians were going to be persecuted and martyred because they believed in Jesus and would not give their allegiance to any other being, any other god. Perpetua and Felicity were arrested in 203 AD under the rule of Severus. At the time of their arrest, Perpetua had an infant son and Felicity was pregnant. While in prison, Perpetua wrote about all the circumstances that led up to her death in a diary that was later published entitled The Passion of St. Perpetua and Felicity. It's one of the earliest writings ever found by a Christian woman. Before their imprisonment, both women were instructed to be baptized in the faith. They were later baptized in prison, and a jailer, seeing their devotion to Jesus, later came to faith and converted to Christianity. In her diary, Perpetua wrote of her conversion and wrote also of the conversation she had with her father, who begged her to give up her faith in Jesus. This is, in part, what she wrote. "While we were still under arrest, my father, out of love for me, was trying to persuade me and shake my resolution. While we were still under arrest, my father, out of love for me, was trying to persuade me and say, 'Give up your faith.' 'Father,' said I, 'do you see this vase here?' 'Well, yes, I do,' he said. And I told him, 'Could it be called by any other name than what it is?' He said to me, 'No.' 'Well, then I too cannot be called anything other than what I am, a Christian, as penalty for professing her faith in Jesus Christ.' Perpetua and also Felicity were sentenced to death. Yet with God's peace in their heart, they remained serene in the face of their fate. A note from an editor at the end of Perpetua's diary describes that the day of their victory dawned, and they marched from the prison to the amphitheater joyfully as though they were going to heaven, with calm faces, trembling if at all, with joy rather than fear. Perpetua went along with shining countenance and a calm step as the beloved of God, as a wife of Christ, putting down everyone else's stare by her own innocent gaze. Perpetua and Felicity were thrown in an arena of wild animals, but they weren't killed. So when the Emperor Severus saw that they weren't killed, he then commanded them to be put to death by the sword. What a life! What a death! These are two women who serve as a wonderful example of perseverance in the faith. Heroes, indeed. And that's what Jesus calls you and me to, such faith, to be faithful unto death, because he will give us the crown of everlasting life.